Carlos Correa has agreed to a 13-year, $350 million contract with the San Francisco Giants. Great deal for both the club and the player. We'll get into that in just a moment. But the deal comes with no opt-outs. It comes with a full no-trade clause and an average annual value of $26.9 plus million dollars. Great deal for both sides. Now, as far as Carlos Correa goes, he played last year with the Minnesota Twins after agreeing to a 3-year, $105 million contract with opt-outs after the first and second year. He earned over $35 million just last year with the Minnesota Twins, so this is a little bit of a step down from an average annual value standpoint. However, to get $350 million, even if it is over 13 years, is still one of the 4 biggest contracts ever in Major League Baseball history. Congratulations, Carlos Correa. For the San Francisco Giants side of it, they absolutely had to get a signing like this done. They needed an aircraft carrier in the middle of that lineup. That lineup still leaves a lot to be desired, but this is a step in the right direction. They were oh so close to getting Aaron Judge anyway this offseason. Their fan base really thought they were getting him. I mean, the front office seemed to be exuding confidence that not only would they be able to bring Aaron Judge, but they would also be able to add to that starting pitching, to be able to bring in one of these top shortstops, which they have in Carlos Correa. But that fan base got really excited about bringing in Aaron Judge, and John Heyman didn't really help that by saying essentially that the San Francisco Giants were going to get Aaron Judge and then retracting that 2 minutes later. So you can kind of understand the Giants fan base, how upset they were. They had to get something done, and so this should appease fans, at least for now. Now, does this solve their problems long term? No. They still have all kinds of issues, both with their long-term pitching anyway, as far as what they're going to do after this coming season. We'll touch on the other signings they've added here in just a moment, but they did bring in Mitch Haniger. They have Jock Peterson, who accepted the qualifying offer, on that roster as well. But outside of that, they still have a whole bunch of young guys spread throughout that lineup, not exactly stalwarts at any key position. And so this team is still kind of in a roster turnover phase, and they're still going to have plenty of money to spend next offseason should they decide to go after the likes of Shohei Ohtani, Rafael Devers, Julio Urias, Manny Machado, whoever they decide in next year's free agent class, they should be able to compete for, because they're going to have all kinds of money to do it. Now, as I mentioned, the Giants have also added that starting rotation, bringing in Sean Manaea and Ross Stripling in on roughly the same type of a deal, 2-year, $25-ish million with opt-outs after the first year. If both pitchers pitch above what they're expected to anyway, they should easily be able to opt out of those deals and recoup some money on the free agent market next year, whether that be re-signing with the Giants at a higher AAV, getting a long-term deal, or going elsewhere. The Giants are going to have that money freed up. As we mentioned, Jock Peterson signed the 1-year, $19+ million contract on the qualifying offer. He will not have the qualifying offer attached to him, so he'll be able to go into free agency next season. Hopefully he'll have a good year. Absolutely crushes right-handed pitching, struggles mightily against left-handed pitching, and of course they brought in Mitch Haniger. So the Giants certainly have made some additions. Is this still a playoff team? Maybe. I mean, we're not talking about a division winner. We're possibly talking about a wild card contender, but I still think they're on the outside looking in, at least right now. They have a good young closer in Doval back there, but the Giants still need to add some more pieces to that lineup. Otherwise, it's Carlos Correa, Mitch Haniger, Jock Peterson, then just a kind of a ragtag bunch. I mean, they have, the old stalwarts of the, Giants' days of glory past anyway, with Brandon Crawford. But outside of that, there's really no successful player on there that has major league experience. They still have Yastrzemski, I believe, but nobody out there that's really, pounding on the door for, stardom or anything like that. So they're going to have to spend money in free agency next season. This will not be the finished product for what the Giants are going to be, hopefully, at least in a couple of years. But as of right now, Carlos Correa certainly improves his team, and at least for the Giants, this gets the conversation moving from, hey, we didn't get the guy, we finished as a bridesmaid to a number of different players. No, we actually got the player we wanted, we got Carlos Correa, now we have a building block to go forward in the future. That's a much better sales pitch than, hey, we missed out on Aaron Judge, we have all this money to spend, but we really have nothing else around you except maybe Mitch Haniger. Would you like to sign with us, Shohei Ohtani? That's not exactly a convincing pitch, and the Dodgers I still expect to be the favorites for him next year, but the Giants should at least be able to be contenders for other free agents next season because of this signing. As I mentioned just a minute ago, if they had just gone into next offseason with all this extra money and not spent it and not brought in an aircraft carrier like Carlos Correa, and the AAV does help out here, we'll touch on that in just a moment, but if they had done nothing, that would not have been a convincing sales pitch. As far as the AAV goes, the $26.9+ million, we were expecting somewhere in between 28 to 32, $33 million, maybe even as high as 35 that he got with the Twins last year if he signed another really short-term contract. But this is a great deal for the Giants because it keeps the AAV lower so that when when they do decide to spend at the higher end of the free agent market and go into the tax, etc., this AAV will help in that regard to lower that tax bill and allow them to get those better players. So for those of you who are Giants fans, this is a great move for you guys. Let us know in the comments section what you think about what the Giants are doing this offseason. Have they built up enough this offseason in order to be a wild card team? Should they have really gone out there and spent at the top of the rotation on a Carlos Rodon instead of bringing in Sean Manaea and Ross Stripling? Rodon is still a free agent, at least at the taping of this, but we'll see where he ends up going. It seems like their rotation is pretty much set, though, at this point. But what do you think? Should they have gone about it a different way? Should they have brought in another piece? Should they have gone after a Josh Bell? Should they have brought in a catcher? Should they have gone after higher profile trade targets? Whoever the case may be. Let us know in the comment section what you think of the overall signing. For me, the Carlos Correa signing for Carlos Correa himself, A+. Absolutely love the contract for him. Good length as far as this will take him into his age 40 season. $350 million. Hard to argue with that. I mean, it is one of the 4 biggest contracts ever in Major League Baseball history. Sure, it's a drop as far as AAV, and if he had tried to play year to year, he may have ended up making more money if he had stayed healthy for his entire career. But that's, again, something you have to worry about with Carlos Correa. He has missed time in the past. This gets him his long-term security that he was looking for, lower AAV than I think what he was hoping for, but ultimately gets the dollar figure he was hoping, and beating out Corey Seager's contract of $325 million last year. He gets $350, albeit over 13 years. Congratulations to the Giants. You were able to kind of turn the page on your offseason. Hopefully you'll continue to build towards the future. And for Carlos Correa, congratulations on joining the San Francisco Giants.